afternoon, a New Year's Eve edition of the NBA Report. CP the franchise, Alex Rataros on the ones and twos. On today's show, Detroit basketball continues to slide. Number 28, history in the making. They continue to make history or be on the wrong side of history. We got to talk about that and throw them a bone because they fought valiantly last night, but it will also be our 2023 year in review, man. Our top 5 NBA storylines of 2023. So sit back, relax, hit that like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Another edition of the NBA Report, man. Al, how you feeling, bro?
Feeling good, man. It's another day we get to talk hoops.
Yeah.
So had some good basketball last night. I'm ready to talk about it, man. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good, man. You know, the year went by so fast. Wrapping it up, but we wrap up this year with the NBA Report. So feeling good about that. Feeling good about the guests that we've had on this show so far, the growth that this channel has seen so far, and yeah, just looking forward to another year, man. Looking forward to another year of exciting NBA content.
For sure, man. Absolutely. We're putting all the work we can into this, man. Grassroots movement, getting it out the mud, as you always say.
Yeah.
I love we've had this year, man, with the NBA Report. As you said, great guest, deep dive into the NBA at large. It's fun covering the league at large because I feel like it makes us sharper when it comes to covering the Knicks too, right? When you got to cover teams and be a little bit more nuanced, even more objective, puts in perspective for the New York Knicks when we do KFTV.
Yeah, no question about it, man. So let's get into the action last night. All eyes were in Boston on the Detroit Pistons. Could they get off the snide against a team who was undefeated at home, the best team in the league, and a juggernaut in the Boston Celtics? And they gave it their best shot. They were up by 21 points in this lead. They caught the Celtics at the right time. Celtics came out the gate shooting cold. Detroit had it cooking. 21-point lead. Celtics come back into the game. They have Detroit on the ropes. They're up by 6. Give credit to Detroit. They come fighting back valiantly. This thing would go into overtime after Cade Cunningham misses a 3 to win the game. And then in the end, Boston just pummels them like a big brother would do to a little brother. Porzingis and Derek White combining for 16 points in overtime. Boston just going in a playoff mode and just activating on this team. And that was that, man. 128-122. Detroit basketball still looking to break the streak.
Man, it is rough, man, for the Detroit Pistons. And you know what? It looked like they were about to do it, too, especially when you watch that first half. You're like, wow, Celtics is about to, they broke the Warriors winning streak record when they were on that 79 and 73 and 9 era, right? And then now you have them being on the wrong side of history. But, hey, they woke up. They're like, whoa, not us. You even see Kyle Kuzma tweeting and be like, wow. Every game, he's like, you don't want to be that team anymore. So you do not want to be that team that breaks the Pistons curse of now 28 straight losses. It's ugly, man. It's getting ugly for Detroit. I don't even know how do you even fix this? I know we asked the same question, but you have Cade just going ballistic last night, and that wasn't even enough for this team.
Still not enough. I mean, Cade Cunningham, last 5 games, 33 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 7.4 assists, a 66% true shooting percentage. Jaden Ivey and his backcourt mate, 18 points per game for Ivey, 6 rebounds, 5 assists in his last 5, 58% true shooting percentage. He had himself a pretty good game last night as well. They just came up against the wrong team. But you give credit. After the game between Cade and Monty Williams, they're still talking the talk. They're still fighting a good fight. They felt like if they can continue this type of effort and intensity, cut down the turnovers, then they should be able to break this thing eventually. Maybe it's Saturday against the Raptors, but look, they had a chance, man. They had a chance in this thing, and the Celtics ended up just being the better team. But to me, I still think that, they need to get some better pieces in here to fortify that bench. I think they do have a core. Definitely Cade. Duren for sure. I think Thompson should be a piece. Ivy's left to be seen. Monty kind of screwed up by tinkering with the lineups. We'll see if he gets into a groove between now and the end of the season, see what happens there and how he fits. But if you look at the rest of the roster, man, it's lackluster. And there's only but so much a coach can do when you're looking at that roster. Yes, they paid Monty Williams a big bag after he never wanted the job to begin with. But there's only but so much a coach can do with a roster like this. Dwayne Casey didn't do much better. I mean, they won much more games, but they were still a bad team, and this is another former coach of the year. So this goes, starts with Weaver, starts with ownership, and they got to get some better pieces in here, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it doesn't help that they're going to miss one of their top guys in Isaiah Stewart, who's about to be out for 10 to 14 days with a right great toe sprain. So you're missing, how you talked about the other show when we had our guy Andrew on here. You talk about that grittiness, kind of the heart of the team almost, right? You're not going to have that guy out there. And for someone like for teams like the Celtics, for teams like the Knicks, when you face them, you want somebody who's going to be that enforcer. Now you don't even have that. It's tough, man. And you look at this game last night, right? And you see you have K getting 31, you have Ivy getting 22, you have Duren getting 15, you got Bojan getting 17. Like, where else do you go to after there? Your guy Burks comes with 12 points off the bench.
Yeah,
Burks not
up.
efficient though. He shot 31% from the field. CP.
He can't be on point every time, man. Can't be.
I'm just saying. He shot 31%. CP.
Hey.
And remember, this is the guy that you want back on the Knicks. But
you want to scapegoat my guy? Go ahead.
All right. Look, where else do you go? Killian Hayes, 10 minutes. The fact that even honestly, I don't even know how Monty could even put Hayes in that starting rotation over Ivy. And last night, you see the production that you can get out of Ivy when you give him more minutes, man. 32 minutes. He goes 8 of 15 from the field, gets you 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, why wasn't he starting at the beginning of the season? I get this whole, well, everything's got to be earned and whatnot. But if I'm Monty, I am not putting Killian Hayes in that starting rotation to say, you got to earn minutes over that guy. What's he doing? This is a guy who's been a waste of a draft pick, a lottery pick at that. And then you put an Ivy in this situation. As we talked about the other day, now you got to start thinking about trades. Like, who do you get in here, man? Because I get like Ivy could be one of those candidates. I know people are not ready to talk about Cade Cunningham being on that block too, but you got to figure out something if you're the Pistons and how you're going to change this around.
Yeah, no, it's got to start. It's got to start with Cade. I mean, you got to start with him as your cornerstone. He's putting in the work, and again, this whole slide is kind of overshadowing what could be, an improved season. Not necessarily a favorite to be most improved, but certainly an improved season for Cade Cunningham over last year across the board statistically. And now it's kind of being overshadowed by the streak. So I think he's certainly part of the solution. But as Flizzy Flex said in the chat, you got to get some more winning type of vets on this team. And James Edwards of The Athletic has come out with another article saying, hey, Detroit is standing pat on Bogdanovich. And they don't want to give him away for anything. They want to be blown away by an offer. I'm not sure what they're looking for here. I mean, this guy's good shooter, good player, but I mean, you've had him on the block for 2 years, multiple times. I mean, you've been traded multiple times. Like, unless the team is just desperate with an injury replacement, what are you really looking for this guy? But they need more. They need more. Bring in guys who have been battle tested. I think it starts there, especially with their vets, because you look at a guy you just talked about, Killian Hayes and some of these other younger guys. A lot of these guys in their rotation wouldn't even crack the average NBA rotation around the league.
No, they wouldn't. And look, when you're looking at Bojan, right, and you think about what he's even doing this season and what you want in return, like in 34 minutes, he's shooting 44% from the field. Yes, he's shooting 37% from downtown. But last night, he shows you like he has his limitations too, because he shot 30% from the field. He's not going to be that much of a game changer for you. And I think when you look at Detroit and how they are performing this season, no one's going to do them any favors. They're not in position to make any demands. And you can, sure, keep him. He's probably your most valuable guy. But if you get one first rounder, I think you should just take that and move along, because, look, shooting is needed around the league, but if you think you're gonna get multiple first round picks for a guy who's 34 years old, not getting any younger, not gonna get any faster, solid shooter. I don't know what else you're expecting if you're the Detroit Pistons. And like, if you really want to keep him, and you're trying to get a haul, try to move Jaden Ivey. Try to think about somebody else,
That would
And
be
I
good.
wonder what even the Isaiah Stewart, like stock is right now since he's out injured for 10 to 14 days, because you have teams like the Celtics that are considering wanting to trade for him, right? So
Put Ivy in a package for Siakam.
he's good, but he doesn't solve anything. Like, he's
No,
definitely a winning player.
at this point, you're just trying to put one foot in front of the other, man. Like, you're not talking about just trying to be a contender or a playoff contender. You're just trying to be a competent one foot in front of the other, making progress type of team. And I feel like that guy who could do a little bit of everything can help, and has won, can help just to move things forward a little bit. Not to say he's the answer for everything. You still need a lot of work. But to be that adult in the room, that adult in the locker room that can help lead with Cade, with an Isaiah Stewart, not so sure that's that will be a bad idea for them. Again, he doesn't necessarily address all their shooting woes, but I think he could help.
Sure, for sure. Pascal Siakam would totally help. No doubt about it. I want to know in the chat, who do you guys think is the player that the Detroit Pistons should go after to go help
Yeah.
move this team in the right direction? I think Siakam is a good option, but you need more floor spacing on that court. If you're gonna keep Boy on, then that makes sense. But outside of that, need more.
One more thing on the coach. It's so funny. Like, you look at the situation going on in Phoenix. You look at what's happening here. Like, the Monty Williams situation is funny, because even though, yes, you can find reasons why they should have fired him in Phoenix, it's not like they got rid of him for like Greg Popovich or Spoelstra. Like, Vogel won a chip, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like
You want to triple LeBron James? Let's calm that down for a second.
Right. Well, that's true too. It goes back to the whole, players play, coaches coach. But it's like, where would the Suns be right now with another year with him and that team? And where would he be if he would have stayed there and then take this mega deal with the Detroit Pistons and now being on the wrong side of history?
Well, look, the grass isn't always greener for either the organization or the coach, right? And you see that for the Suns right now. They're struggling. They made a whole lot of changes. They're what? Let's see. Where are they at today due to the standings? They're 10th right now. They're because they're a 500 team, and the Warriors are 15 and 16. So what? Like, you gained so much more out of changing Monty Williams, where you could have kept most of the same team. I get the whole Ayton thing was an issue, but you could have figured that out. You could have moved him and done something else. And then you see him out in Detroit, and you're like, You moved off of one coach of the year to another coach of the year, and you're like,
we're still losing.
We're still losing, man.
We're losing even worse. Oh, man. Well, we'll see what happens on Saturday, man. I think they get it on Saturday against the Raptors at home. I think they win big. I'm going with a big win in Detroit, man. I think they're getting tired of it.
They're getting close.
I think they run the Raptors out the building. That's my prediction, man. So let's see what happens. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boy CP and Alex on the ones and twos. Remember that this show is presented by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code MBAR for a first-time deposit match up to $100. All right, Al. The top 5 stories of the NBA year of 2023. Top 5 stories, man. We'll start with some honorable mentions, because there were a lot of, I think, stories that could have maybe made this list, and maybe people at home watching, we'll throw it in the chat, throw it in the comment section once we get through it. But a couple of honorable mentions that I had noted, the Ja Morant suspension. 25-game suspension. Ja Morant suspended. The first incident with Ja Morant, he was holding the gun in the strip club. Lee came down on it for him, sent him away for a little bit. He went to counseling in Florida. Right? They did the sit-down interview with Jalen Rose like it was Oprah. Right?
All for what?
It was like the big homie, little homie conversation. And then here we go, boom again. He gets caught carpool karaoke with the blammer in his hand. They send him packing. All while in the midst of litigation for duffing out a 17-year-old kid
Mhm.
over a basketball game. Ja Morant, 25 games. But, the story was big because, I mean, you look at the impact that it had on the Memphis Grizzlies going into this season. You look at what his return has been and what it's meant to them and how much he's been missed, not just by the team, by the league. You look at his impact and you're like, damn, bro, like you could have really thrown your NBA career away. And you just hope that he keeps his head on a swivel.
Yeah, it's definitely one. Ja's suspension is definitely up there. It should be as an honorable mention, just because, as you talked about, he could have thrown his entire career away, man. I mean, we see it right now how impactful he is to this team coming back. And I still believe, like I said, that this team can get into playing territory with Ja Morant back at the helm. But it's just the decision making, man. And then you have his father and the whole like keeping receipts and all that.
Yeah.
Like, guys, relax. No one's
Lay
talking about you
low.
as a bad player. No
Right.
one's talking about you as a bad player. Pops,
You're reading the
understand.
room wrong.
Understand. We're trying to make sure that Ja stays in the league because he's that great of a player right now. We'd like to see him have a successful career. And your circles are very important. You're very important. Okay. I was talking to NBA scout, right? While
Mhm.
we're out in summer league. And he was emphasizing like the importance of who your circle is and just the details that they go back to doing the research on players to see who your circle is and how they, you know, how they're trying to make the NBA more of like, you know, now I don't even know what the right word is. Like clean, family friendly. I guess that's the way we want to go about it. Like you're
Yeah.
not getting incidents where you see Ja Morant pulling out a weapon. Granted, he's a special case, right? Very talented player. The NBA is going to look at that saying, as a business decision, it's better for us to have him on the floor. So we'll give him the chance so that way we can make it up. But at some point, it will get to an end where it's like, look, if you cannot clean up your act, we're going to have to push you out of here because we're not going to be able to tolerate that. So for that, I'm like, Ja, don't be that guy. Okay. Pops,
Yeah.
understand that. The circle is important. Number two, no one's keeping receipts about your talent, man. No one's
Yeah.
keeping those
Yeah.
receipts. All right. All we're saying is without you, the Grizzlies weren't anything. Now you're back. Now the Grizzlies are something again. There you go.
There you go, man. How about the process winning the MVP? Joel Embiid winning the
Oof.
MVP, putting the halt to the Joker three-peat, 33, 10, and 4 on the campaign, leading the Sixers to third in the East. Finished the year last year very strong. He had the 52.13 rebound game against the Celtics, had a good month of March. Hey, leading, just leading. Now, listen, playoffs is a whole different animal, and that's where the conversation about Embiid always veers to. But I think in the conversation of winning the NBA MVP, I thought it was well deserved. I oftentimes think the whole MVP conversation could be splitting hairs. People try to get very objective with it by throwing in the stats and the advanced stats and the PER and all that. I think it could be. I think it's a very subjective award. But I thought Embiid was certainly deserving of it, and he got it, man. Congratulations to him. Playoffs aside, he'll shake those. Maybe he'll shake those demons another time. But just for the regular season, he earned that one.
And that's what it is, CP. It's a regular season award. And that's why the conversation last season got so murky because they talked about, well, should Jokic win it for a third year in a row because he hasn't really done much in the playoffs? It's like, guys, why are we including what
Yeah.
he did last season to this year during this time? Talk about this year, how each player is performing. At the end of the year, you'll have your answer by who put up the best numbers, who led their team to do X, Y, and Z. And that's that. This year, it's Joel Embiid. Now, I will say this. Sometimes they do, the voters like to go back in history like, oh, maybe he should have won it that year. And we will do him a favor this year. And that we see that from time to time. At the end of the day, we can't knock Embiid for winning the MVP. He's been in the race for so many years. He is that good of a player. To say that Jokic should have won or was the real MVP, okay, he's also that great of a player too. I honestly think that we're splitting hairs when we get down to who should win it, who's not. I get that there's money and incentives tied to it, but at the end of the day, both of these guys are great players. During the regular season, they both help their teams get to that top position. enjoy it as is. There's nothing more than that.
Yeah. And then now the fact that, he's even more dominant this year is incredible. And now he's definitely the odds on leader to win it. We'll see what Jokic comes up with. Maybe Giannis sneaks in, maybe Luka. We'll see what happens there. Another honorable mention, and just on the MVP thing, I didn't like how they tried to diminish Jokic in the whole conversation. I didn't like that whole thing, man. I really didn't like it because, again, the reasoning in doing so just made no sense. Just made no sense. I thought it overall diminished the whole conversation. Another honorable mention, I hate to give him honorable mention, but the Miami Heat's run to the chip last year, you got to give it to him, man. Making the play-in, losing the first game against the Hawks, back against the wall. They're losing the second game to the Bulls, come back, win that game, and then just go on a crazy, crazy run as the 8th seed. They knock out the Bucks, number 1 seed in the East. They knock off our New York Knicks, a powerhouse at that time, a strong New York Knicks team, riding high off of the first round win over the Cavs, a tough team led by Brunson. And then they put the Celtics up 3-0. Ultimately get the job done. And the Nuggets put the fire out. But for the Heat, man, that was a sensational run. All the role players that contributed to that team. Yes, Jimmy was Jimmy, and he, of course, rose his level of play in the playoffs. But you had Gabe Vincent, you had Max Strus, you had Caleb Martin make a name for himself in that playoff run. And so, a lot of that was marked by the supporting cast, and a great
coaching
job by Erik Spoelstra, man. Hell of a run.
For sure. And look, you got to include Bam Adebayo in that success too, because his defensive versatility and prowess. You got to give him kudos for that. And Duncan Robinson, man, Tyler Hero goes out and Duncan Robinson decides to revitalize his career, man, and be more than just a 3-point shooter. His cutting and all that nature has just been, and you see it this season too, it's been transformative for him. This was the guy that was looking on the outside in after that big contract. And now he's back being a strong contributor for the Miami Heat. And you got to give him credit, man, for what they did, just because it's tough. I mean, if you're Adam Silver, you got to love it because he had both the Lakers and the Heat get to the conference finals for both the West and the East after being playing teams. That's what you want to see, man. That's the underdog type nature you want to see if you're watching the NBA. So, Adam Silver is rubbing his hands like Birdman, be like, yeah, I just made money off of this. This was a great idea. Watch that in-season tournament, take it to the next level because, guys, it's going to work. But sheesh. And look, man, they got Jaime Jaquez this year who's killing it. Another good draft pick.
Yeah. Good job.
The Heat, man, I know it's still early. They're doing work, man. They're 4th in the East right now, 19 and 12. They're looking pretty good, man. They're looking pretty good.
They one of the things also that was impressive in their playoff run was that, especially in the playoffs, when you think, all right, shooting may come down a little bit, efficiency might come down a little bit as shots become harder to come by, but they actually raised their efficiency. I mean, they shot 40% from the field in the regular season, shot 45 in the postseason, 34 from 3 regular season, 38 in the postseason. So they actually raised their offense, improved as they moved on through the postseason. So that was incredible. As you said, the Lakers making it also was commendable because of where they were at a given time in the second half of the season. They make the trades that they needed to make. They get Rui in there. They get Vanderbilt. They get D'Lo, and off they go. And next thing you know, they're in the Western Conference Finals. Get swept by the Nuggets, but fought valiantly. No moral victories, but fought valiantly in the end. And you had your 2 play-in teams making it all the way to the Eastern Conference, to the conference finals, and one making it to the championship. So the play-in, that was a big play-in run and a big win for the league. So just a couple of honorable mentions there. Now let's get into the top 5. Let's get into the top 5, Al. Number 5, Wemby Mania. Victor Wembanyama makes his NBA League debut after all the hype, the draft. We were there in Summer League for all the hysterics. Wembanyama hits the stage, man. And at 7'4", 7'5", there's certain players that we've watched from our time really taking hold of the game and really understanding the game. Like for me, just speaking for myself, like certain players that you watch, you're like, yo, how does he do that? LeBron was definitely one for me. Just seeing his skill sets at his size. Even KD,
Yeah.
KD 6'10", 7 foot, slim, and just the way he's handling and bringing up all, just watching from Texas on through to Seattle and on through. It's like, yo, this guy's skill sets, I've never seen that before from a player.
Right.
Kristaps Porzingis. I think Porzingis was another one of those guys because now he's 7'3", doing those things, putting the ball on the floor, looking fluid, and so on and so forth. And then you see Wemby at 7'4", 7'5", doing all of that. It was incredible, man, especially when we saw him there at Summer League. The hype was unreal. I was backstage covering it. They had to create their own media press conference wing so that he can hold press conferences after every game. Like normally in Summer League, they just put you backstage and you're in a backdrop and it's just, media with your microphone there. For Wemby, they had to build an actual room for him to be there. That's how big the hype was. And hey, so far, up and down year for him, but I thought his debut was pretty big for the league.
Absolutely. I mean, look, that was my first time out in summer league, and from all the stuff that I heard, and then going there and just seeing the mania, man, for Wemby. I mean, you were there at the game, and usually you can go find a seat easily, from what I've heard. When you go to summer league, now it's like you better get there on time. There were lines. It was mayhem just waiting. People used to say that you go to summer league, it's an empty gym. Maybe there's like, I don't know, 50 people. This thing was packed, man. For
Yeah.
every game. And I think when you look at Wemby, the thing that you can take away from this man is that few things actually. One, you can take away that international players are becoming more dominant, better, well-rounded players in the league. I mean, you look at Joel Embiid, you look at Nikola Jokic, you look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now you got Victor Wembanyama, and he's like, all these international players are changing the game and making a name for
Yeah.
themselves in a predominantly American league, right? Next thing I would say is that when you look at Wemby and you look at how Chet's playing, that should be kind of a glimpse of what you're going to see from Wemby moving forward, if not even more, man. And, I know it's an up and down season for him. He's a rookie. I expect it. I also look at Jeremy Sohan playing the point guard position.
Yeah,
That's
not
not
ideal.
natural. That's not really helping him either to set him up. I know it's
Yeah.
like this experimental thing more for the entire team as a whole, but I expect Wemby to still be an awesome player just because of the things that he does, man. It's just insane. You talk about KD, it's like you watch KD being a 7 footer, being able to tween and just take guys from the top of the key and go attack. It's like Giannis Antetokounmpo, man, and how they talked about his growth spurt and just being able to attack. And I think Wemby's just going to have that type of impression on the league moving forward. He's still young. We're not going to see him in his prime until he's 26, 27, or beginning, I should say. But the future is bright for that guy right there, man.
Shout out to Gary Gutierrez in the chat. John Talento in the chat says Wemby is special. Absolutely. My 2 cents is keep in mind Wemby is still just 19. Just like you said, the upside is insane. And for me, watching his coming out party, watching that live, the Spurs in Phoenix, 38 points, 10 rebounds, 3 3-pointers in that game, a game where they had to, 2 games, one where they had to sustain a lead. They had the Suns in back-to-back games. One where they had to stay in the lead and one when they had to come back and win it. And, just super impressive just watching him operate off of all 3 levels. His defense was ferocious in that game as well. And yeah, man, it's just incredible to watch a player with that skill set. And obviously, he had to play for nobody else but the Spurs. In typical Spurs fashion, they get their guy after the sun had set on the last dynasty. Now maybe they have it with Wembanyama. We'll see what happens with the point guard. See how long Popovich stays there. And yeah, man. So far so good. The league debut and overall just good for the kid, man. It's good to see his humility shine through all the hype. Crying at the draft and at summer league, just really getting it real personal in the game. You really saw a more personal side to him, is what I wanted to say. So overall, just good for the kid. Definitely good for the kid.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Last thing I'll say on it is that you talked about the Suns and the Wemby, right? And you're going to get up and down inconsistency from any young team. But it's those games right there when you're going up against KD and you're like, wow, there's something here. Those are the moments that you take back and be like, when did you see that Wemby had something special this game right here? that game right
Big
here.
facts.
Yeah, it's a losing season, but those games right there were the small building blocks added with the consistency and the hard work to take him somewhere he will be in the future.
Number 4, Al, LeBron James. LeBron James surpasses Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for number 1 on the NBA's all-time scoring list. He broke Abdul-Jabbar's record of 38, 387 in a game against the OKC Thunder last year. And LeBron stays alone, man. Right now he's at 39, 404. But look, I thought this was a big moment for the league, a big moment for LeBron James's career. And for me, when I look at this record being broken, I continue to just look at LeBron James in his career, and I just feel like the hate that he gets for the theatrics, the flopping, all that, and the perception that the league has to revolve around him and the team jumping and all of that. I think it's all noise, man, because when you look at this guy's career, the fact that he's going to finish in the top 10 in points and assists, no one else going to be able to do that. The fact that he broke a 38-year-old record.
Yeah.
Yes, he had threes. Yes, he had threes. But this is a guy who we looked at for being more of a passive player, right? Especially in the big moments.
Yep.
Making his teammates better. Yo, he stands alone, bro. He stands alone. You got to put some respect on his name, man. That's all I'm saying, bro.
For sure. And, you know, I was on that side, especially before doing any content creation and stuff like that. I enjoyed just poking at the bear, being like, oh, he hasn't defeated anybody. What's he doing? Oh, he had to go join a super team, this, that, and the third. But as the years go on, I have to give him my respect, man, and just say, hey, what he's doing, man, this is legendary type stuff. To be in the league for that long, to be healthy, and to continue to dominate at his age right now for the Lakers, man, and still be a legitimate number 1 option, right? That on any given night, you could say that, I don't know, man, they got the best player on the court, and he's 39.
It's 39.
And you got to say, it's not, oh, you know, X, Y, and Z over here, right? It's like, oh, well, we got Tatum and Brown. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think you're going to beat LeBron James. Like, that's good. That's like, I don't know. On any given night, he could turn it up and still dominate the league when he wants to. You know that he's just preserving his energy. But look, man, greatness. And you talk about not, you know, kind of Jeter-esque in a sense where no off the court issues, stays like humble to a certain degree. Like he knows when he really wants to turn it up and just like get the media stirring and put himself in the limelight. But for the most part, man, just a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal career to this point, and has created a legacy, man, that you don't get to see many guys in this category. You know, he's truly a generational talent.
Yeah. No question about it, man. I mean, next up on the active list is KD. KD's got 27,676. He's in 10th. LeBron's got 39,404.
Insane, man.
I mean, who's gonna come close to that number? Who's gonna come close to being on the top 10 points and top 10 assists? I mean, that's all I'm saying, man.
And that's the thing. He's the most complete player that we've got to watch to this day and age, right? It's not like, oh, he's just a scorer. He can score. He can facilitate. He can rebound. His IQ for the game is just through the roof. Man, dude's just, I don't even know what to say, man. Just special talent right there.
Can't take it for granted, man, when he leaves. Can't take it for granted. That's all I'm saying. So, you know, I definitely enjoyed that moment and enjoying watching him play and still kill at the top of his game. And you know what? I think this even made me appreciate Kareem even more, even though we never got to see him. He was a guy who we never got to see.
Wait, you never got to watch Kareem? I thought you were that old.
No, I just looked that way on TV, you know. But the fact that Kareem did at least half of his damage just from twos and free throws, because remember, they didn't have threes until his 11th season, and he only hit 1 3. You know what I'm saying? So matter of fact, he did 99.999% of his damage from twos and free throws with the sky hook, the most unstoppable move in the history of the game. And so to hold that record for 38 years off of twos and free throws, that's even more impressive. And I think Kareem has got to be in more conversations when we talk about the GOAT. but Michael and LeBron made it a bit more sexy because they were more guards and wings. And, you rarely ever celebrate the bigs in that way.
It's also the marketability of those two players, man. I mean, think about it. Nike has both those players. Look, everyone wants to be like Mike, right? You think about all the commercials he was in, how he was just a global figure. Same thing with LeBron James, global figure as well. And just when you think about both of them, you think about dominance, man. And it was just at a different time with how that marketing and that branding is. I mean, you can't turn around without seeing LeBron's or Jordan's anywhere you go, man. That's just who they are.
The marketing machine really like exploded with Jordan. LeBron's been able to benefit from it, create his own empire, and it's just continued to expand. So yeah, great point on that. All right, number 3, Al. Number 3 of our top 5 NBA stories of 2023. Kind of gonna keep it on the LeBron topic, but the NBA in-season tournament kicked off, and I thought, yes, they're having a debate about the ratings right now. But from a personal opinion, I ripped it when I first heard about the concept. I was privy to the idea about the in-season tournament about 2 years ago. I hated it when they rolled it out, and I loved it when it finished. I mean, I just felt like from a league perspective, you have nothing to lose. Yes, the rules need to be tweaked. We got to figure out the scoring and figure all of that out to make it fair. You also have to figure out the scheduling to make sure no teams get screwed. Those little things I think they will tweak. I think they will ultimately raise the stakes from just the $500,000 per tee per player. I think you may see a playoff spot be on the line if they can figure that part out. Overall, I thought it was a good idea, man. I thought it was rolled out fairly well, and ended with the Lakers winning it. What more could the league want?
Not just the Lakers winning it, CP. LeBron James winning it, okay?
LeBron, yep.
Because now we get to even have more of that conversation of who's better, him or MJ. So that'll only add to it. First year, you get the in-season tournament. LeBron wins it all. Look what he did with this team. And now, look, if LeBron takes the Lakers back to the Western Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals, good God, get ready for that machine this entire upcoming offseason. But look, I was a big fan of it. I like the idea. Just break up the monotony of the 82-game season. I love the in-season tournament. Obviously, they got to make some tweaks. I see TM in the chat saying point differential is whack. I actually like it.
Point differential.
I actually like it. Look, if you don't want to get scored on, play some defense, okay?
Yeah.
Have the league go back to and have defense being actual factor in the league right now, because we're getting to the free throw line way too many times. But that's another conversation for another day. So I liked how it worked out. You had, I think, the best case scenario where you have the old guard and the new guard playing in the in-season tournament. You had Tyrese Halliburton, who just dropped 20 assists last night against the Chicago Bulls, 0 turnovers, by the way, going against LeBron James, right? And we already know LeBron James' legacy. We just dissected it. What more could you ask for an in-season tournament matchup? And it's stuff like this where, this is real for a young team like the Pacers, right? Because it gives that type of playoff atmosphere where they can build off of that, and you get to see how they get to perform under pressure in single game elimination. And then you get to see the Lakers and see what they could be potentially in the playoffs too, right? And I think that as being a glimpse of what the playoff atmosphere could be is what's more intriguing about the play-in tournament. Not necessarily the championship itself and the accolades, but you're kind of getting that little bit of a taste, right? Of like what it could be. You get to get an idea like, hey, this is what the Celtics are without KP. Pacers just cleaned their clocks, right? Now, if you had some other teams in there that were in like true playoff category, I think it would be a little bit better. Maybe you expand it more to make it a little bit more wider to each conference instead of just so small. But I liked how it played out this season, man.
Yeah, for initial concept, I think it worked out well. And like you said, you had the old guard, you had the new. You put Halliburton on the big stage in the spotlight for a couple of games. I thought that was well deserved by him. His play certainly backed that up. Yeah, now they can go back to being the Pacers and a team who, it's questionable whether that they can win in a series. But in single elimination style, it puts a highlight on parity, if you want to call it that. Because again, in a series, things would have played out a lot differently. But it puts a highlight on some of the smaller market teams, which I thought would help the league, puts Halliburton in the spotlight, And then you asked for competitive basketball during the dog days of the year, and you got it. I thought the last night of group play, the elimination games, they had playoff like feels. You would go to some of the arenas, whether it was Sacramento, it was Indiana, they were blowing the roof off the place. The people are into it. You know, they'll fix the courts,
Yeah.
make sure guys aren't sliding around, and make sure it's aesthetically pleasing. They'll fix.
Oh, good God!
They'll fix
Please
the
change the
jersey,
courts.
get some new stylists in there. They'll figure that part out. It's the NBA. They figure out how to tap into the culture. They figure that out, man. But overall, I thought it was a good showing by the league.
And look, it did its job, right? Even though I wasn't a fan of the courts, it did its job. It had people talking about the league. And it's like,
Yeah.
wait, this is what now? This is an in-season tournament? What's that? Like, I felt like more people were engaged in it. And I think there was a stat too on the viewerships for like regular season where they actually topped out. I forget how much it was. I don't want to misquote it, but I think they actually did do a good job with the ratings wise for the in-season tournament. I'm going to look it up right now, see if I can find it.
Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys, CP and Alex on the ones and twos. The NBA report is rocking. Salute to Marco Stoyanov, my guy Marco from Romania in here. Lopez 104. He said some of them courts need adjustments. Absolutely. EJ1, salute. How you feeling? My 2 cents. Salute. Michael Powell says maybe need to go by quarters one instead of point differential. Okay. It's an interesting point.
Let's see. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
They had the final average, a 2.5 rating, 4.58 million viewers across ABC. And it peaked at 5.68 million viewers, an increase by 44% in ratings and 46% in viewership from a Celtics Warriors NBA Finals matchup. That's how great it did.
There you go. There it is. So number 3 on our list. Now let's go to number 2. The top 5 NBA stories of the 2023 season. Number 2, Al, blockbuster trades, new faces, new places. Some of the game's best players were headed elsewhere throughout the league, throughout the year, man. You had Kyrie Irving, the Brooklyn Brigade, if you will, burning. The Nets dynasty in the making, crumbling year after year after year. Kyrie Irving being sent to the Dallas Mavericks. Then you had KD getting his bags packed and sent to the Phoenix Suns. You had the blockbuster trade of Damian Lillard going to the Milwaukee Bucks this past offseason. And most recently, you had James Harden headed from Philly to the Los Angeles Clippers, man. What do you think of these 4? Let's start here. What do you think was the biggest trade? Big just in terms of impact, big just in terms of your reaction. Like, what do you think was the biggest trade of the year?
Dame to the Bucks, man, because that had the domino effect of then Jrue Holiday going to the Celtics. And I think with that, one, because the entire summer we heard Miami Heat was going to get Dame. Miami Heat was going to get Dame, which would have been overkill for that team as well, right? But the fact that he goes to the Bucks, you tie him with MVP caliber player Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bucks shot into a different tier, and you're like, wow, who's going to be able to keep up with the Bucks? Because you got clutch with just pure brawn on one team. How are you going to stop that? With the Celtics then getting Jrue Holiday, as you always note, you got probably the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. You then have 2 dynamic wings that can play offense and defense. But then with the Kristaps Porzingis signing that happened prior to that, it just put them in that same tier with the Milwaukee Bucks. So because of that, the Eastern Conference is not really even a race. It's just like at some point, it's just between, if those 2 get to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I'm expecting it will be, who's going to be the victor that gets to the finals? And I think that is a trade that to me was shocking because Bucks really came out of nowhere to get the deal done. It was like kind of the way, it's like the final few seconds of a shot clock, right? You got 4 seconds, major heave, and then now it just sinks, and now you got Dame on the Bucks. And with that change for the East, it's just changed the entire dynamic. And now I'm like, okay, so it's going to be one of those 2 teams against probably the Nuggets, and if not the Nuggets, the T-Wolves. That's how I look at it as.
Yeah. I would definitely put Dame for a simple reason. I think a lot of people saw the Brooklyn demise coming. especially once Harden got traded, and then you had the random absences by Kyrie. Then he sat out. He didn't want to take the jab. Then he gets suspended. Like you could have seen all of that coming. And ultimately, when they get to the contract impasse at the deadline, he was gone. But remember, KD had wanted out in the prior offseason. Right. So like those rumors of KD wanting to go to Phoenix, like those seeds were already sown coming into the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then once Kyrie goes, then it's like, all right, yeah, trade me. And so it's like, those guys are so flaky to begin with. Like their trades weren't really much of a surprise. And especially in the Kyrie situation where it's like you weren't going to find many suitors for him. And so it was really like a one-team race. KD, he wanted Phoenix. There were other teams that were interested, but he ultimately got to where he wanted to go. Harden thing, same way, like didn't really have a market. And that was kind of just like a one-team thing. But the Dame thing to the Bucks, number one, it came out of nowhere. The Bucks being that sleeper team, because it was always Miami, Miami, Miami. It's to a second extent, the Nets, but it was mostly Miami. And then not only does he go to the Bucks, but Miami gets screwed. Great job. And then the Celtics could end up being the biggest winner of that trade, which is kind of crazy. So, as you said, the domino effects of that trade was certainly the most impactful. But I also thought that trade, remember when the rumors came out that Dame was like, well, I want to go to Miami. I refuse to play for anybody else.
Right.
It's like the first time it kind of put Dame in that like villain/heel spotlight that Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and even James Harden kind of experience in the past. You know what I mean? They kind of had that reputation coming into this.
But was he even that much of a heel for saying that? Like, he gave so much support.
It was big backlash, bro.
I know. I understand there was backlash. Yeah. Like, but I'm like, at the end of the day, as we look back, like, I don't really think of him that much of a heel for saying, I don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, me neither.
Miami. Like, look, you gave all your time to Portland to try to put a contender around you. And at the end of the day, they didn't do a good job. Now, in return, you gave all you want for Portland. Yes. Did they pay you? Sure. But at the end of the day, like, you've been good to them. You haven't really complained or anything like that. You tried to be an ambassador for the city. You tried to do everything, right? You even supported the city that you lived in as a team, as a player. So for that, I'm like, all right, he has kind of deserved the right to say where he wants to go. It's not like, hey, I don't want to be here. It's not like I'm Kevin Durant. I want to go to the Warriors. No. I want to go to Brooklyn. No. Like, and granted, KD did that being a free agent, but it's one thing to say, I don't want to go anywhere when you haven't really done much. It's like that's why the whole Zion situation to me is whack, where it's like, you haven't really done anything in the league, bro, to say, I don't want to play. I don't know if I can buy in. You got to buy in and show. That's why I dislike James Harden for his antics, because like, oh man, it's too tough here. I don't want to go anywhere else but Philly. You get to Brooklyn. I don't want to be here. I want to go to Philly. You get to Philly. I don't want to be here. Now you want to go out to the Clippers. It's like, okay, man. And at the end of the day, he goes where he wants to go. But that's why when I look at James Harden, he has more of a resume than Zion. But it's like, it sucks because it's like you don't want to have to go through the adversity, and you kind of want it easy for you. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta go through that adversity. That's why you see when Steph or Giannis, like, they get a lot of admiration because, one, they stay with the team that has drafted them, but they've also fought through adversity where it's like, we've lost, we've come through our battles, we fell short these years, but ultimately we came out on top doing the work we had to do. And look, that's where you get respect. But for Dame, like, he tried, it just didn't work out there. So for the pushback, it didn't really bother me, man.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I thought, I came out when that report came out, I think I was in Vegas for Summer League, and I came out with my tweet saying, look, he's earned the right to say where he wants to play. This is Dame dollars. This is Dame time. I mean, how much work did he put in Portland as an all-star? And so a lot of people disagree with me. He should have just left as a free agent. Why did he take the money? Yada, yada, yada. But, in those situations, I always take the player side when it comes to, contracts and taking on this contract extension, because look, I say it's the cost of doing business. A guy blows his knee out. The first thing they're going to do the next day is try to send him packing if he can't help them anymore. So take all the money that you can get. But I thought it did put him in a negative spotlight for the first time in his career. And I thought it was interesting to see the way that he had to kind of dig himself out of that, whether it's through the mouthpieces that he had. We had Danny Meringue on the show who was
Right.
breaking all that down. The press conference in Milwaukee, all that was interesting. And then you kind of look at where this Bucks team is right now. They're not, kind of they're still a good team, top team in the East, one of the best in the East, but certainly a taller hill to climb and a big adjustment. But I think he still ended up lucking out
Oh, for
because
sure.
he's got a better chance of winning it with this Milwaukee team than I thought he did with Miami. Just being with the Freak and the way that the Freak is playing at an MVP level right now.
For sure, 100%. I agree with that. And then TMIC, you're like, because I'm on my Zion comment, Alex, you want to play in the Smoothie King Center? Come on, bro. Look, no, I would not want to play down there. I've been to the Smoothie King Center. I don't like it at all. The place is more gray than anything. I can understand why people don't want to be there. Boring. It's dull. Although I will say that it's right next to the Superdome, all right, for where the Saints play. So that's the only good thing about it. But the arena itself, look, I was sitting like 8 rows back from courtside paying $80. I got to watch Giannis rookie year that season go against Anthony Davis. That was a fun game. But no, I would not want to play in the Smoothie King Center.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So that's that, man. So to everybody in the chat once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys are sharing these videos on Facebook. Make sure that you're sharing it on your Twitter feed, your Facebook feed as well. Definitely appreciate the support. And the number one story, Al, if you guys at home didn't guess it, after 47 years, the drought was over. The Denver Nuggets, the Mile High squad, the Mile High Ballers win the Larry O'Brien Trophy, man. The Joker, Jamal Murray, MPJ. You had Aaron Gordon and the boys beating the Miami Heat in 5 games and taking the Larry O'Brien Trophy, man. The Nuggets, they beat the Timberwolves in the first round 4-1, beat the Suns 4-2. They sweep the Lakers and beat the Miami Heat 4-1. 20 games, man. They win the championship in 20 games. Jokic, just unbelievably dominant, and just seeing him on the big stage, especially in the backdrop when they try to tear him down on the whole MVP thing. Like, I thought that was kind of like poetic justice in a way where Embiid deservedly won the MVP, but Jokic, after all the flack, he wins the big prize. He wins the championship. I thought it was well deserved. Again, when we talk about, but back to the Wemby topic, and we talk about the players who we've never seen them do what they do at that size. You got Jokic. Jokic is right there. You got
1,000%
the list, especially after that run.
1,000%. I mean, I was tuning in yesterday to the Nuggets Grizzlies game, and I'm just watching Jokic flat-footed doing fadeaway jumpers in the like baseline, and I'm like, I've never seen anybody who just puts up a shot looks like so effortlessly and looks like a little bit of laziness too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not lazy, like it's very difficult to do, but he's just like, and it's just like it just goes in, man. Like, even his 3-point shooting, but he makes the game look so easy. And point center, I don't know. It's just dominant, man. Like, when you watch Jokic play, and then, you got to give kudos to his running mate, Jamal Murray, too, who came back from injury, right? After having a great bubble run to go against the very same team that they had to beat in order to get to the NBA Finals, the Los Angeles Lakers. And you see Murray just going ballistic in the bubble. He then gets injured next season, has to work his way back from injury. And then it's him and Jokic leading this team to sweep the Lakers to then take out the Miami Heat. I enjoyed the finals. I know there was always controversy, like, who wants to watch a finals game between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets? I do, okay? It was great basketball. Nuggets were just killers. And you got to give credit, man, for the development of that team, because they've been together with Mike Malone, Jokic, Jamal Murray. What was it, like 7+ years we're talking about here? Maybe even close to 10. Like, that to have a head coach for that long and to develop players who, they had a name. like more so Murray than Jokic at the time, but to watch them develop and become the players that they are today, that's great.
Yeah. And to see them go from the bridesmaid over the past couple of playoff exits to the bride, it was well deserved. You know, all the storylines from Jokic, Murray coming back from the ACL and just absolutely destroying. I mean, the Jamal Murray, you know, Jokic was brilliant, but Jamal Murray was an absolute killer in some of these games, man. Just for as a three-level scorer, I mean, he was as just as dominant offensively in shooting the basketball. I love watching his game. And then the pieces that they put around him, you give Calvin Booth a lot of credit, man. He put the best team out there on the court surrounding his two homegrown stars, and they got the job done. From acquiring Aaron Gordon to you know the Michael Porter Jr. draft, you get KCP in the mix, bringing Jeff Green, those guys off the bench. Bruce Brown, the revelation that was Bruce Brown. Like, how did the Brooklyn Nets let Bruce Brown go? Well, he goes to Denver, wins them a chip, and then gets a major bag from the Indiana Pacers. That oh, it's streaming on OBS. Oh, okay. Hold on. All right, go back to the main screen. Go back to the two cam. I think it's the freaking highlights. Go back to the main screen. Testing, testing, testing. Back up, back up. All right. Back up. Are we up? Are we up? Back up, back up. Shows on the restream. Yeah, it's I've been having trouble with them on the with the highlights, man. The highlights have been killing us. They've been trying to like block content. All of it's supposed to be whitelisted. But yeah, it's not the same as KFTV, man. Been having hella issues with this. Yeah, so it doesn't come back. Let's see. Your stream has been temporarily blocked. Okay. All right, so let's just yeah, we just have to clip it here. Unless it comes back. I don't know if it's going to come back up. Is it still recording? Okay. And then put it back out. All right. So, okay, so yeah. So all right, so where do we leave off? I think
You talk
yeah, so I was talking about
how they're the bride and not the bridesmaid.
okay, all right. So fine. Yeah, and I think, you know, especially with the Nuggets having been the bridesmaid over the years, the tough losses to the Warriors, you know, Lakers, this was kind of this was well deserved for Jokic and Murray. You know, all the storylines converging, the Murray storyline, you know, Calvin Booth, the way he put that team together, like the best team. I thought they were the best team all year, and they proved to be that at the end because they were able to surround their stars with the perfect complementary pieces. You had defensive versatility. You had solid perimeter defense. Bruce Brown, what he was able to provide them with that ball of energy. You had Jeff Green coming off the bench. Christian Brown, a rookie, providing support in the big games, in the finals as well. I mean, Mike Malone had no problems going deep into his rotation and finding guys that could contribute when their number was called, man. So overall, it's just an outstanding job, top to bottom.
Yeah, and I see that we're back on live. We're back on the
Yeah,
stream. So welcome back, people.
yeah,
Welcome
we're
back.
back. We're back. We're back.
But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, CP. Like, you had everything that hit right for the Denver Nuggets, and Malone's been with that team for since 2015. So to watch everyone develop from 2015 to now, that's like the story. It's like that's what you want to see as like a team, right? That's what really gets the fan base going. Where it's
Yeah,
like we've
it's a
watched the
perfect
head
build.
coach, we've watched these teams, we watched this team struggle and fight, and to continue to build on their success to finally reach the mountaintop. And as a fan base, when you get to see that, that's what brings the community together. And look, they've now reached that pinnacle where NBA championship caliber team. The question, obviously, moving forward is, can they repeat that? Can they continue that type of success moving forward with what they have? And how do you tweak? And Honestly, I don't even think there's that much tweaking to do for this team because they
Yeah.
legit have every single player that you need. You got your superstar in Jokic. You got your best running mate in Jamal Murray. You got Aaron Gordon, who's there to do all the dirty work. You got a solid scorer when you need to call on him, and Michael Porter Jr., although he didn't really show up in the finals like he should. And I'm looking at you, man, to do some better work this year. You got KCP as your 3-and-D guy. You got Christian Braun, as you talked
Yeah.
about, as a guy who can attack out in transition. You got Reggie
Hey,
Jackson coming
Watson.
off the bench now,
Hey,
too, man.
Watson.
Yeah.
Watson, man. That's my play to watch, man. I've been
Yeah.
impressed with him. Yeah.
So this team, man, and they're doing it the right way where they're retooling the role players that you need to like use. Bruce Brown, no worry. We're going to go back into the draft and find somebody. And you got to give respect to Malone for how he brought Christian Brown up, right? As a young player, it's like, no. We're going to get you solid minutes right now because I may need to call on you in the playoffs, which he
Yeah.
did. And he had big moments. So look, man, I like the Nuggets. I think this is a team that's going to be competing for a title for the next 4-5 years. That's who they are. You got these guys in their peak, and we'll see, man. We'll see what this team can do.
We asked the people in the chat to vote top 5 stories of 2023. LeBron James, most points all time, is the winner, man. 43% of say LeBron James passing Kareem is the top 5 story. Is the best story of the year. So there it is, man. So
how many LeBron fans are in here that's clicking that? How come you're not voting for the Denver Nuggets? What's going on, people?
Interesting. Still no respect for Wemby in the chat. So still no respect for Wemby in the chat.
The Denver Nuggets won their first NBA championship. And we're like,
you
you know what? LeBron James it is.
There you go. There you go, man. Al, we got to tell the people about Prize Picks, man. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Go to prizepicks.com. Use our promo code MBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100, man. I love Prize Picks. I love the interface. And I like how easy it is to play, man. And all you do to play is you choose between 2 to 6 players. You have a number of sports that you can choose from. You have NBA basketball going on right now. You have NFL basketball, NFL football going on. You have hockey. Number of sports that you can choose from. Whatever you're into, you can mix and match. And all you're going to do is predict whether or not a player is going to do more or less than a given stat projection that Prize Picks has for the night. With basketball, you have points, you have rebounds, you have points, rebounds, and assist combinators, 3 points made. So you can choose between a ton of options, and he's just going to give you a prediction. So here's where I'm going for tonight's matchup, Al. I'm going with, let me just pull up my ticket. In the Knicks versus Magic game, I'm going with Jalen Brunson more than 32 points and assists. I'm going again bounce back game. For the Knicks who lost a tough one in OKC. The Magic vulnerability over the last 7 games. I mean, they've been relatively steady, but over the last 7 games, they've given up a ton of points to opposing guards and assists as well. And so I think Brunson can tap into this on a bounce back night in Orlando and give his team a big lift. I'm going with more than 32 points and assists. In Atlanta, you got the Atlanta Hawks hosting the Sacramento Kings, and I'm going with Trae Young. Ice Trae again. I'm going Trae Young with more than 29.5 points. In Cleveland, you have the Bucks taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I got my 2 stars on the board. I'm going with Giannis with less than 49 points, rebounds, and assists. And I'm going with Dame with more than 24.5 points. Cleveland is currently trending right now to have been doing better against opposing power forwards, man. And with the Bucks on another road trip, I'm going with lower than 49 points for Giannis on the road. 49 points, rebounds, and assists for Giannis on the road. And I'm going with Dame at over 24. Cavs have been susceptible to guard play all year. And I think this is a game that Dame Dollars turns into Dame Dollars, man. So those are my 4 picks for Prize Picks. How you looking, man?
All right. I like those picks, man. This is where I'm going tonight, though. All right. And first, I'm going with Jalen Brunson as well, but for a different reason. I think tonight, Brunson will get the calls that he didn't get against OKC and get back to the line against the Orlando Magic. I think he'll make more than 4.5 free throws. I think he's going to use that footwork in order to draw contact, as he typically does. I'm expecting him to get more than 4.5 free throws made tonight. I'm then going with Cam Johnson, not for 3-pointers made, but for 3-pointers attempted. He and the Brooklyn Nets are playing the Washington Turnstiles, not the Wizards. Turnstiles, okay? They allow a lot of points to be scored, and for Cam Johnson, who is a sniper from downtown, I expect him to attempt more than 6 3-pointers tonight. So I took him on more than that. I'm then going with Nikola Jokic. He's playing the OKC Thunder. Look, Chet saw what he could do against the New York Knicks, man, but it's Nikola Jokic. We're talking about a league MVP here. We're talking about him being unstoppable. I think he's going to get more than the 51.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's what he does, man, especially when when Chet can't match physicality with Nikola Jokic either. So that's where I'm going with Jokic. I'm then choosing Julius Randle, going back to the New York Knicks, man, to get more than 24.5 points against the Orlando Magic. I'm sure he's listened to Kenny the Jet Smith and all those other commentators saying, oh, they don't have anyone better than Paolo. They don't have anyone. No, not tonight, man. Julius Randle is going to come correct. He's been doing a good job. He's been on a good streak throughout the month of December. And then some, I'm expecting him to get more than 24.5 points. And then last and certainly not least, still staying with our New York Knicks, Isaiah Hartenstein. He's a starting center for the New York Knicks, solid rebounder. I believe he'll get more than 9.5 rebounds tonight against the Orlando Magic as well. And that is my sheet for Prize Picks tonight. Make sure to support our sponsor using that promo code NBAR to get up to a $100 match.
There you go. There you go, man. And for our people at home, go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match up to $100, man. Great show, Al. Great show. I thought we really broke down the top 5 stories of the NBA in 2023. I thought we capped off the year well. And as I say, we started this thing. We talked about the Nuggets championship run. We started this show during the NBA Finals. Nuggets versus Heat. Full circle, man.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at us. Look at us, man.
And we give it right back to the champions.
Yep.
Just the way we predicted it to.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, great show. To everybody in the chat, man. Salute to our producers. Salute to all of our mods. As usual, great job by everybody. Happy New Year to everybody. To our new viewers, to our fans, Happy New Year to you guys. And remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. And once again, support our sponsors, man. Go to prizepicks.com, promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match up to $100. Al, Happy New Year, man. I'll see you tonight. Doubleheader, Knicks versus Magic. Knicks Fan TV post-game live. See you guys then, man. Peace.